Welcome, welcome. I am so excited for this conversation today. And before we do anything else, I just want to acknowledge you. I know that you are so busy working in your firms, being able to support your clients, doing the things to be operational, and that you stepped away from that to join us today, which I feel is working on your business, getting those tips, advanced insights, something you can immediately implement as we wrap up today to raise the bar as far as the quality of services that you offer your clients and engaging higher quality clients as well. Today's topic is how to make 2024 your best year ever, increase your market share, and raise your profit margin. I have a goal. If Martin Luther King would have started his speech like that, it just would have fallen flat. It wouldn't have resonated in the same way as I have a dream. And that is something to really think about, is that goals just don't inspire people overall in the same way as a vision does, as something that is far reaching, but seems like it might be possible. And if that thing was achieved, it would be very, very significant for you. If you find that there's a party that maybe hesitates to grow your firm because more clients means more work for you, possibly you say yes to every single client request, so you're growing your business organically, or you give away so much information to your clients and to possible prospects when you're talking with them on those initial consultations without ever getting compensated, then you are absolutely in the right place. Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Lauren, I'd love to. So, hi, my name's Steve Fogelman. As you can see by the last name, Lauren and I are related. We have been married and working together for quite a number of years. I'm going to be a co-host. I'll be working the chat. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them into the chat. And I will be sure to get those questions over to Lauren so she can answer them during our presentation. Lauren, back to you.
Thank you. A little bit about me, if you're meeting me for the first time, is that I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. And what I have found is that our education gives us all the tools, the theories, the know-how to do what we do really well starting out, and that it also prepares you to be an employee working for someone else instead of a business owner or employer, because that there's actually 3 gaps that need to be filled in to have a firm that you run instead of one that runs you. The very first one is how to communicate your value to attract those quality clients to you. Number 2 is how to price your services if you don't want to trade dollars for hours any longer and charge an hourly rate or time-based fees. And number 3 is how to be able to enroll new clients and deal with the objections or some of the pushback that happens. So talking about your fees without stumbling over your words, and how to do that with confidence when you might not like the sales part. So those are some things to think about. Is you want to be able to figure out how to communicate your value, separating your fees and time to earn 2 to 3 times more, and then also how to be able to enroll new clients who recognize your value and aren't really just focused on how cheap they can get your services. The other thing is that, as you can see, I have been listed as one of the top 22 business coaches by HubSpot, and that is my Amazon #1 bestseller, The Success Solution. What we're going to cover today is the #1 dream firm secret, unleashing your potential, and then we're going to wrap up with how to 3x your firm. I will absolutely give you as much as I possibly can in our short period of time together today. If you're interested in knowing more, how to be able to implement some of the things that we're talking about today, I will show you how to do that as we wrap up.
Well, Lauren, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're looking at is the #1 dream firm secret. But before we do that, we actually have our first poll question. There will be 4 polls through our presentation, 3 polls through our presentation. We lost a poll someplace. Do you follow an agenda? I have a daily to-do list that keeps me focused. Each month I set new goals, client crises, hijack my plans. Once again, do you follow an agenda? I have a daily to-do list that keeps me focused. Each month I set new goals, or I have a client crisis that hijacks my plans. And while we're doing the poll questions, if you do have a question for Lauren, please go ahead and put them into the chat, and I'll be sure to get those questions over to Lauren so she can answer them. Actually, doing the poll is really the best time.
So we're going to
So
go
one of
ahead and end it, Steve.
great. So let's see. Daily to-do list is 88%. Each month I set new goals is 0%. And client crises hijacks my plans is 13%. Great. Well, Lauren, what are the steps to increase your income without working additional hours? I think everybody wants to know that.
This is all about having a strategic plan to be very, very mindful about what it is that you want to achieve and really take in charge of how you grow and the way that you grow so that it lifts you up, it brings out your best areas of expertise, and also it deeply serves your clients. And then also for some of you that might want to go ahead and take these things and implement, November 8th and 9th, I'm doing my annual virtual strategic planning retreat, which I will talk about a little bit more as we wrap up. But just to kind of get the essence of it is, first of all, you want to be very intentional about your clients, because what I have found is low value clients, they drive out the ability to bring on higher value clients, because the low value clients are going to be asking for additional requests, but they don't necessarily want to pay for them. They are late responding to everything. And because of that, they're not very efficient. It takes more time to do work for them than maybe for somebody else. Because it's taking more time, it's not efficient. It lowers your profit margin or the value of a client, and also the frustrations. Think about those low value clients. And as soon as you get an email from them, you don't even open it up, and it just throws off your whole day. So we want to be very intentional about who we work best with and who are the people that really respect and appreciate what you have to offer, and be able to bring more of those clients into your firm. And that goes right into step number 2, which is communicating your value. Once you're aware of what are the components of those quality clients, then we can go ahead and find the words to be able to attract them and grab their attention. That would be the words that you might put on your Pro Advisor profile, your website, social media posts. When you're at an event and somebody asks you what you do, you know exactly what to say so that it grabs their attention. They want to know more, as opposed to you just sounding like everybody else. And then number 3 is clarifying your vision. This is about you taking charge of your firm and growing it in a very strategic way, instead of organic growth, where somebody asks you what to do, you say yes, and you just start doing something because the request came in, and you want to be client-centered, pleasing them, and you feel like saying no to some things might be something that creates friction. So you don't want to do that. So we want to show you, even if you are one of those people that love saying yes to everybody, how to be able to take charge of your firm so that you have one that supports your lifestyle instead of drains the life out of you. And then number 4 is value pricing your services. This is something that is a game changer, because it's a different way of looking at what you want to charge for the work you're doing for your clients. And instead of looking at your time, because maybe a little bit of profit margin, we want to look at what is it that the client benefits because of the fact that they're engaging your services, and pricing according to those results and those benefits. And by doing that, you're actually able to earn 2 to 3 times more without any additional time spent working. Something I love showing people how to do and helping my clients navigate. And by that goes right into number 5. When you put all these things together and you're very intentional about what you want, and you know how to bring people in that are the right fit for your firm, and you're really focusing on the work that you do best instead of saying yes to everything, even all those out of scope requests, then you're on the path to having a firm that supports your lifestyle instead of one that sucks the life out of you, because you're open, available 24/7. There's very little clarity, boundaries, and clients think they can pay a little and they get the full service. So those are some of the things to think about with your strategic plan, is being intentional about those high value clients, how to have the right words to be able to attract them, being really clear about what you want your firm to look like so you take in charge of it, value pricing your services, and being very intentional about sticking with your path and your plan in order to have your dream firm.
Well, Lauren, we have a timely topic for today. We regularly speak to accounting professionals who want to grow their firm. So, how do they plan to grow?
Well, one of the things that I have seen through research is about 63% of business owners create some type of growth plan for the next 12 months. So when you're really doing that, you're very aware of what you want. And then when opportunities come to you, you can look at whether they're aligned with your growth plan or whether it might just be a shiny object that takes you off. Might sound good at the moment, but in the long run, it really keeps you from moving forward in a very intentional way. So that is something to think about. And I went ahead and put in the chat, do you have a business plan? And just would love to know, do you ever have a business plan? Do you carve one out every year? So do you have something that's actually guiding your firm forward in a strategic way?
Well, Lauren, what's the difference between working on your business as opposed to working in your business?
Well, working on your business is when you have something very specific and you know the direction that you want to take your firm. And this applies whether you're solo or part of a large corporate firm, but being very intentional about what that plan is. And that means that things you do today will lead in a specific outcome or direction tomorrow at some future point. And then working in your business is really doing the things that are operational. They bring the money in right away. And a lot of times it's that a client makes a request, you say yes to it, and then you start implementing that particular thing to fulfill that request. So the difference is that when you're working on your business, you're really carving out time today to be able to achieve some future result. And then when you're working in your business, you're really taking care of the day-to-day operations.
Well, growth is often paired with goal setting. What are the thoughts about goal setting and about that?
Well, what I have seen is that a lot of times people are doing a business plan, they are setting goals, creating an agenda for them. And what happens is that after they do it, and sometimes it's because someone is asking them to do it, it just gets filed away in your virtual filing cabinet. So you might go through the exercise, but you're not necessarily referring back to it, you're using it as a guide as you're moving forward or as requests are coming in. And because of that, it is also that goal setting has some flaws in it. Once again, like I was saying, it's externally driven. Somebody might be requiring you to create a business plan in order for you to be able to meet some obligation or to be able to achieve some particular purpose, open up an opportunity. The other thing is that because of that, they are very, very static. Either you're achieving them or you are failing. And the other thing is that they're kind of dry, so they're not very, very inspiring. So once again, yes, it's better to have a business plan than no business plan, but a lot of times it gets done, it's an exercise, and then you put it away in your virtual filing cabinet and it never comes out again. And the other part of it is that most of us have heard about SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. I just want to go with the realistic part. If you wanted to do things realistic, you would have stayed with your 9 to 5 and been a W-2 and not taken the different risks and complexities that go with being a firm owner, whether you're solo or you have a team behind you. So that is something to think about. And when SMART goals first were becoming popular around the 70s, the 1970s, it was because of corporate America. They realized that the people that they were employing were doing the bare minimum to be able to keep their job and end up getting a paycheck, but they weren't really going above and beyond. And because of that, it affected the profit margins, it affected shareholder dividends. And that's when they came up with SMART goals. They figured that if they can just incentivize employees to work 3% more, a very small gap, that would make a significant difference, especially for the larger corporations. So they did that to inspire the team to just work a little bit more. But when you're looking at being a business owner, it's usually because you have something you want to achieve down the road that is meaningful for you. And doing something that is a sure thing and realistic doesn't really work when you're necessarily a firm owner. And something that I saw when I first met Karen was that she was very, very client-centered. She still is. She loves being able to help her clients grow. She has a specific niche, which is with attorneys and law firms, but she was saying yes to a wide range of requests for them. They would just ask her to do something, even admin for their law firm, and she would just say yes to everything. The other thing is that even though she had a team, she was doing a lot of the low-level daily operations herself instead of passing it on and training her team on how to do that so that she can focus more on advisory and business development. So what we did is we focused on how to be able to be more strategic, what it is that she ought to be doing, because it was aligned with things that only she could be doing in her firm because she had the training, the vision, and the insight, and to be able to pass on some other things, and also not say yes necessarily to every single client request that came in, so that there was increased scope with her clients, but the fees remained pretty stagnant. And part of what we did is we created packages. Because she was working with attorneys, we created 3 options for law firms, from the silver, the gold, the diamond. And the silver is for the smaller firms that maybe were solo operations or had 1 or 2 possible partners. And then the gold package was for firms that had multiple partners, they had more complexity in their operations, so they need more insights into the financials. And then the diamond was for firms that might have multiple offices, they might have real estate holdings as well, and they really needed to be on top of not just the cash flow, the ARs to avoid write-offs. They needed to really make sure that their IOLTAs were up to date and going to be able to pass an audit on a moment's notice. So they needed to be audit ready as well. So that's something to think about, is if you were to be very specific about who your quality clients were and then create different packages for them that had nothing to do with how much time you work, but it was about the deliverables and the benefits of having you be the one that is taking care of their financials, how would that make a difference for you and your firm?
Great. Before we get going on this, there were 2 things that came into the chat. Cheryl was saying that she doesn't have a well-documented plan. And then Christian put in that she's been working with us, working with Lauren, and that she has kind of made a lot of changes as far as her firm goes and has documented plans. So that's great. So next we're going to be looking at unleashing your potential. But before that, we have our next poll question. What's your growth plan? It's organic according to client requests. I created a business plan when I first started. I review my business plan more than once per year. Every quarter, I adjust my business plan. Once again, what is your growth plan? It's organic according to client requests. I created a business plan when I first started. I review my business plan more than once per year. And every quarter, I adjust my business plan.
And Christian, if you're available, do you want to mute yourself for a moment?
I'm here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh.
I wanted to ask you, because of some of the things that you've been doing, how do you feel that maybe things were before as far as your firm being in charge of you, and how you've been more aware of how to take charge of your firm and what the impact has been?
Kind of a very broad question.
It is a broad question. And I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't talk about this ahead of time.
No, I mean, I think just some of the highlights for me, one of the questions that Steve just asked was, do your clients run you? Okay, my clients definitely ran me. They were texting me at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. I mean, I was really all about the clients. They were running my business. I didn't have any time off. I felt like I could not step away from my computer. I was also undercharging terribly for my services. And this had gone on. There are clients I hadn't even raised rates on in probably 8 years, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not proud to say that, but it is where it was. But in the last year and a half, oh my gosh, I've almost doubled my revenues. I play tennis now once or twice a week. My husband and I took the day off yesterday, which is very random for me to do on just a random Thursday, but that was fantastic. I really feel like I'm putting so many more, just the procedures in place, really having a plan for my business. How do I want to grow my business? Who do I want to be working with? What is the value of my services? And, putting the words in place, the systems in place for making all of that happen. And so, I feel like it's night and day. Sure, I wish I could have done all of this earlier, but I'm so glad at this point that it's in place now. And so moving forward, every client that I bring on, it's because I want to, and it's because I'm getting what I deserve for my 35 years of accounting experience that I've
And
put into
Christian, I love asking about specific numbers. So can you give an example of maybe one of those legacy clients where you didn't touch their rates for years and where they were and what you brought them up to?
I will tell you that, just one of my random little tiny clients, let's say they're paying me probably $300 a month. And I was billing them after the fact, so they would still get a bill from me. Now they are paying me the first of the month. They're paying me $750, and I'm not doing anything different for them than I did before. So that's already doubled. And literally, I don't do anything differently than I did before. And they didn't bulk at it. I mean, they were kind of ashamed that I hadn't raised rates on them in a long time. They understood that. But when I also talked about the value that I bring, what we're achieving with their firm, how I'm helping them with their revenues or giving them the analysis that they need to either grow their business, or can they hire a new person, or what's their cash flow going to be? Having that kind of information and having that relationship with me, and having the access to me, because I was of the mindset that if a client was paying me anything, then they could go ahead and ask me everything. And that was totally the wrong mindset, because that was giving away so much of my, my brain power for free, so much of my expertise. And so just changing my mindset about what I bring to the table for clients and being able to communicate my value. There are so many clients that have just said, okay, you prepare for objections, you're ready to have this conversation.
I'm going to kind of pull it back in, but I so appreciate you letting me just kind of put you on the spot, sharing about some of the changes that have happened and the impact that it's made to you as far as your personal life and your family as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Great. Well, let's kind of finish up. So what's your growth plan? It's organic according to client requests is 43%. I created a business plan when I first started is 29%. I review my business plan more than once per year, 14%. Every quarter, I adjust my business plan, and that's also 14%. Wow. So is there something better than a goal? I mean, I know that you dumped the SMART goals, but is there something better than a goal?
Well, what I suggest you be open to doing is being able to put the goals on a back burner and really look at having a vision for what it is that you want to achieve. It's similar to John F. Kennedy in the early 60s. The U.S. was in the space race with the USSR. The U.S. was actually behind the space race because the USSR had launched a cosmonaut into orbit and brought them back home. We hadn't really achieved that yet. And so that's when John F. Kennedy decided that the U.S. was going to be the first nation to plant its flag on the moon. And when he made that declaration, he didn't have a lot of the materials. He definitely didn't know the know-how whatsoever. And that it was really a big, audacious vision that he had for the country. So what happened is that, okay, he declared the vision, and then it was his team of advisors that started to look at what were the materials. They had to invent some of the materials. They hadn't even been invented yet to be able to safely put astronauts on the moon and to be able to return them home safely as well. So that's something to think about, is instead of focusing on goals, then to look at what your vision is of what you want for your firm, and to be able to start using that, because it's usually a lot more motivating than something that is static.
Well, you mentioned that I have a dream speech, which, by the way, I absolutely love, and the first moon landing. How does this relate to a strategic plan?
Well, what I want to say is that for all of us as firm owners, the money is important. You need it to be operational. Let's go there. However, it's not really the money that inspires people. It's what is possible because you have the money, and really tapping into what would be possible, what would be different, how would you be looking at things, what would it say about you and the difference that you're making in other people's lives if you had the business that was really achieving your dream firm. And this is some of the things that my clients have shared that really was meaningful for them, and that they wanted because they decided to move in the direction of having their firm and being able to continue to grow in a very specific way. They wanted to have more flexibility to be there for their family. I mean, imagine going through tax season without being burned out or stressed out through the whole thing. And people are saying to you, you look so much more calm this season than ever before. So think about that, having flexibility for your family all year long. The ability to travel and possibly even work from anywhere. So if you love being on the go, you want to see other parts of the world beyond the region that you live in, then your firm has the ability to do that for you too. Being able to fund your retirement is something that is top of mind for a lot of people. And that includes increasing the value of your firm so that it goes ahead and funds your retirement as well. Even if you're a solo firm owner and you're starting to think about that. Kids graduating college without any student loan debt is something very, very significant. You want them to have the best start possible, but you don't want them saddled down with having to pay back loans over the next 20 years of their professional life. And then one person had paying off her mom's mortgage as a retirement gift, because this person, her mom was a single mom. She worked several jobs to be able to give her daughter the best advantage possible. And this was a way of being able to give back. So think about what would be meaningful for you if you had your dream firm. And I would love to hear from each of you, what would be possible if you were able to really achieve your growth goals and have that dream firm. I'm putting in the chat. Let me just get it in there, actually. Okay, I'm putting in the chat. Would love to know what would be something that would be meaningful for you, because that's really the reason that we go into business a lot of times, is because of what is possible, not just because we want more money.
Well, Lauren, what are some of the things to consider when you're creating this strategic plan?
Well, this is a 1, 2, 3 step. And basically, it's right out of the strategic planning retreat that we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks. But basically, what you want to do is really connect to your vision. You want to think about what is important to you and meaningful for you. How would that make a difference? And the other part of your vision that you want to do is really dial it in. For example, John F. Kennedy had this vision of being the first nation to plant its flag on the moon. And that was very, very specific and clear. So what would it be for you? Do you want to increase the value of a client by 30%? Is it possible that you want to add advisory services into your firm and have the capacity and the time to be able to do those higher level services for your clients? Is it that you might want to go ahead and not just increase your revenue by focusing on business development, but you also want to increase your profit margin, because then it would allow you to be able to maybe take out some and put it in some dividends later on, some investing, so that you can have things tucked away later on for when you're looking to retire. So think about what would that dream be for you regarding your firm, and how would it make a difference? And the more specific, the better. And then once you do that, what you want to do is the strategy. But a lot of times what we're looking at with strategy is where we are now and then how to achieve that vision. But I'm a firm believer of reverse engineering. And reverse engineering is starting with the end in mind, and how do you then work backwards to where you are now? And as a result of that, as you're working backwards, you just define specific milestones. They might be mini steps for you that you're able to achieve over a certain period of time, so that you see you're making actual progress towards having your dream firm. And the reason I like to work backwards is because it's a different way of looking at something, and you become aware of certain things, or something kind of pops up which you would have missed otherwise, that would be something really, really important and make a big difference in achieving that end result. So it's just a way of looking at things, instead of from where we are to where we want to go, which is very linear. We're just doing reverse engineering. And as a result of that, you might become aware of things that you would have missed otherwise. And then the last thing is, eventually you need to get out of the planning, the research, the thinking about it stage, and finally taking action. And when you take action, you don't have to have the entire plan all perfectly mapped out before you start doing something. What you want to do is start doing it, because as you start taking action and moving forward, you become aware of things you wouldn't have seen otherwise, and it might influence the next path moving forward, or the next step moving forward towards that particular vision that you have. So you don't have to have the whole thing perfectly mapped out, but you do want to eventually go from research and planning into action stage and as you do that, you become aware of things that you might not have realized otherwise. And Rick was saying part of what he's looking for is less stress and a better managed firm.
Well, Lauren, that's the big picture. Let's drill this down a little bit further.
Also, Christian put in there what she would like is to be working 3 days a week, earning twice as much as what she's currently earning, able to focus on the fun projects that she does for her clients, and both of her sons who are currently in college will have their tuition fully paid for. I'm going to just let you know, Christian, that our kids graduated without any student debt. I was when I went to their graduation ceremony, I was almost as proud of the fact that they graduated without debt as the fact that they actually graduated at all. Okay, so we want to talk about your inner GPS. We actually have an inner GPS. It's similar to you going to a friend's house in the next community. You've never been there. You don't know where it is, and you get your phone out, you open up your maps, you put in the address, and then it tells you exactly how to get to your friend's house. Well, our brain has what's called a reticular activating system, the RAS, which is your inner GPS. And what it is setting the coordinates in your brain very, very specific, like what you would do when you put an address in. So when you're going to a friend's house in the next community, you're not just putting in general things like, oh, she lives in a gated community, and she lives in about the middle, and there's a lot of trees, and her house is on a center street in about the middle of the street. So you would never find that house. You would be going all over the place, and it would be very, very frustrating and making a lot of mistakes. But when you put in the exact address, then you're able to get to that as efficiently as possible with as minimal detours as possible also. So similar to your brain wants you to put in that very, very specific vision of what it is that you want to achieve for your firm and how that would make a difference. The more specific, the better. And then what happens is your inner GPS goes to work. It starts to look for opportunities to be able to help you move towards that, because it sees that as being important to your survival, because of the fact that parts of our brain haven't advanced as much as technology has helped us to advance. And the other part that's similar to a GPS is when you're driving to your friend's house, it's only giving you the very next direction that you need to focus on, and then it will give you the one after that. And if it's a detour, it tells you how to go around or gives you options. And that's true with our inner GPS also. All you need to focus on is the very next action step. And as you're doing that, your brain continues to look for the next best option available or for new opportunities that you might not have been aware of or seen before. So once again, the more specific you are about your dream firm and dialing it in, having clarity, that makes a difference. And then you just need to start taking the first step, and your brain continues to look for the next opportunity forward. With Bill, he's out in the community. He's very, very community centered and wants to support. He has a soft place in his heart for not-for-profits. And when he was out there talking with people, meeting people, being able to share about his business at events, he was talking about all the things that he does, the functions, the parts of accounting that he actually does that are operational and are that he does for his clients. So basically, people saw him primarily as a technician, and it totally overlooked the fact that he had an MBA and was able to help them by advising them on how to be able to grow their businesses so that those businesses were growing strategically, they were avoiding costly mistakes, they could increase their top line as well as their bottom line. So what we did is we started to dial in his message. It didn't change anything we did. We just started to use the words that captured attention of those high value clients. And what he focused on was really what it is that clients were struggling with, that he was able to help them with. He was able to show how some things that were put in place could remove some of those challenges business owners were having. He then also educated them about why he was qualified to do that because of his years in the field, the difference he made for other clients, and his education level. And also, he was able to start talking about what was possible for those businesses once they had healthier financials and things were accurate, up to date. And they also had advisement from him to make better decisions in their own business development. As a result of focusing on those things, instead of just the technical parts of what he did, he brought an additional $10,000 in 30 days. So think about that for you. If you just had the right words that drew the attention because it focused on your expertise instead of the technical parts of what you do, how would that make a difference for you and your firm?
Well, Lauren, we're going to move forward to 3Xing your business. But before we do that, we have our next poll question. So what's your response to unexpected challenges? It creates overwhelming stress. I research my options. I adapt to maintain momentum. Once again, what's your response to unexpected challenges? It creates overwhelming stress. I research my options, or I adapt to maintain my momentum.
And I just want to say, if anybody has a question, feel free to mute yourself and ask me. I'm happy to chat, because if it's on your mind, it's probably on somebody else's. Or if you want to put something in the chat for me to answer, would be happy to do that as well.
Great. That would be good. I do have a question, but do you want to wait and see if we get one from the audience?
No, if you have something, Steve, go for it. I can
Okay.
always answer something in a moment
Sure.
also.
So what if I'm already busy and I really don't have enough time?
That talks about how do you start to carve out time in order to not just be working in your business, but to start working on your business. And I think that you know how maxed out your calendar is. In the beginning, I would say even if it was an hour once or twice a week, that's more than what you were doing before. And to really put it on your calendar as a blocked out appointment where you become your own client and you're focusing on something that's aligned with your growth and your vision and what it is that you want to achieve. So I would look at, in the beginning, just carve out maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. And then as you start to see results from that, you might want to add in more time accordingly. The other thing to look at is, who's in charge of your calendar? Is it you or is it your clients? And it might be that you already have more time to work on your business, but because you're not strategically managing what you're doing with your calendar, or you're letting someone else's crisis hijack your day, that might be making things not as efficient as they could be for you too. So you might actually already have the time, and it's just a matter of taking charge of your calendar as well.
Great. So what's your response to unexpected challenges? Creates overwhelming stress is 14%. Research my options is 43%. And I adapt to maintain momentum is also 43%. Well, Lauren, before we get into the final section where you're actually going to discuss how to 3x your firm, I know you have something really exciting coming up. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, I have been doing the strategic planning retreat for years and years and years. Actually, maybe about 8 to 10 years. It is really a very dynamic event. It's not about having that boring business plan that you never look at again and you put in the back of your virtual filing cabinet. That this is about having something that's very intentional in order for you to be able to know when to say yes to requests and how to be able to politely decline them when they're not aligned with what it is that you want to achieve, how to be able to have those boundaries, having more awareness about what it is you're offering that is a right fit for where your firm is going, and maybe the things you're offering that really aren't very beneficial for you, and that it's better to be able to pass those things on. So if that's something that interests you, you want to be able to check out more about it, you're able to check out the retreat. It's at businesssuccesssolution.com/retreat. But if this is the year that you want to make 2024 your best year ever, you want to be able to lighten your workload, you want to increase your revenues, you want to work with a higher quality client, you want to be able to have that firm that supports your lifestyle instead of drains the life out of you, then I suggest you make the time to join us. It's 2 days, November 8th and 9th from 4 to 7 Eastern, 1 to 4 Pacific. The investment is $500 to be able to be very intentional. And I will guarantee you that what you walk away with will be inspired. You'll know your first steps to get started. And that by following that plan and really knowing how to be able to move forward in an intentional way, you will easily make back that $500 investment.
Well, as you move forward with your strategic plan, obstacles, of course, are going to arise. Discuss the 3 responses to these unexpected challenges.
Well, this is true for all of us because even though we want things to be nice and linear and without any messes or anything like that, success is messy. It is going to challenge your limits at some point or another if you're looking to advance further, as opposed to remaining in the status quo for too long and tolerating things that might not really be a good fit for you. So something to think about as you're moving forward is that at some point, it's like slamming into that brick wall. And the first type of person who slams into that brick wall is going to just say, I wasn't meant to be doing it. This is too hard. I'm not getting the results that I expected fast enough. And I'm just going to go back to how things were and maybe even go back to working for somebody else again, because it just felt so much more secure and there were no surprises. So that's the first person that responds to going into business and things get really messy. They run up against something that just really challenges their limits and throws them off. And those people I call retreaters. And then the second type of person who, once again, slams into that brick wall, their response is going to be, okay, I need to take a step back and I need to do more research. I need to write out my plan a little bit more because I want to keep on moving forward, but I don't like the surprises. They throw me off and they really stress me out a lot when things happen that I just don't really know how to respond to. They seem much too risky. So those people, I call them marinators. They need to just step back, let things sink in a little bit and marinate. And then once they have figured out how to be able to move forward with as little risk as possible, then they get back in the game and start working on their business development again. And then there's the third person, just like everybody else, eventually hits that brick wall. And this particular person is looking how to be able to maintain momentum. This person is looking how to go above the wall, through the wall, around the wall, whatever is necessary to maintain momentum, because they realize that it takes less energy to keep on moving forward and maintaining momentum than it does to actually come to a complete start and have to ramp up again. So they want to do things that will keep them moving forward. And they look at it more as maybe recalibrating or a course correction as opposed to a start or stop. And these people are the implementers. So once again, we're going to all be all three at some point or another. However, you might have a dominant response. And if you're satisfied with it, then keep on going in that direction. There's no right or wrong. But if you find that you would like to change your response, then there's ways to be able to do that as well.
Well, as you mentioned, success is messy. By the way, I love this slide. Building a dream firm can feel complicated and difficult. What helps to make it easier rather than harder?
Well, a lot of times as business owners, especially in the beginning when you're first starting out, we're shouldering everything. We're wearing all the hats, doing all the tasks from the very, very lowest to the very highest. It's all on our plate. And that is really not the most strategic way to advance your firm, is to keep on wearing all the hats, because you're doing some things that are probably below your pay grade, or you're doing some things that aren't really aligned with your particular strengths and areas of brilliance. So they take longer than they might otherwise, or you might just be avoiding them altogether because they feel like punishment. But I want you to think about, who are your favorite stars? Let's think about musicians. Is there a musician that you absolutely love and that really inspires you? And I'm just going to go back to Frank Sinatra for a moment. So Frank Sinatra did not move his own piano. He had a team behind him. He had a road crew that broke down each set and went to the next venue and then set it up. He had a manager. He had an agent. He had someone that was probably a personal assistant. He had a whole team behind him that was taking care of all the detail work in order for him to be able to show up on stage, croon to the audience, and delight them. And that is something to think about for you also, is that, yes, you are the business owner, but instead of having that employee mindset where you're still doing everything that comes your way and saying yes to everything, I want you to see yourself, even if you're a single firm owner, as having that CEO of your firm. And that starts to just change how you look at things, and being able to have you connect with your value, and also being able to recognize that not every request that comes in or every person that comes in is a right fit for what you want to do. So I want you to be like Frank Sinatra and think about, how can you show up and do your best work, and who is it that you need behind you to help elevate you in that way. The other thing to look at as we're moving forward with that is, who is on your A team? And that's the golden goose and the golden egg. The golden goose is that A team, the people that believe in you, that support you, that understand what it is that you do that makes a difference, and help other people to rise up along with the difference that you're making for yourself also. And then the golden eggs are your clients. Those are the people that you are serving on a daily basis. They are paying your fees to keep you being operational, and they are the ones that you're able to make a difference for. So think about that. You need both. Once again, no matter what size your firm is, you want to have a golden goose, and that's your A team. And then you want the golden eggs, who are the clients that you serve, so that you actually have a business instead of a hobby. And part of the A team you want to be thinking about is your staff. Who is it that's on your team, whether it's a W-2 or 1099, that absolutely believes in you and can go out there and spread the word also? And they just naturally do it because they really know the difference that you make for your clients. You want to think about your referral partners, people that might be working with a similar type of client as you do, and that it's a natural fit to be referring back and forth, because your clients need that person's services and they need your services as well. That could be someone that does printing services. It could be someone that does copy machines. It could be even someone that does office cleaning. So those could be referral partners. Some of them are obvious. Someone that does, you could create banking relationships also. So because people might be going for loans. So think about who your referral partners are, the obvious ones as well as the secondary ones. The network are the other professionals that you are connected with. They know about you. They have actually different referral partners and network than you do, but you all come together, you become aware of each other, and they go back out into their community and their network, and you go back into yours, but you might be able to go ahead and periodically make cross referrals as well, or introductions. A business coach is someone who is connected to a lot of different resources also. Plus, periodically for me, I get requests of who do I know that is a tax preparer or does bookkeeping or something else, and then I'm making strategic connections as well. So that's something to think about. Accountability partners. People are more likely to move forward with their business development when they have someone else that is aware of what they ought to be working on to work on their business, not just in their business. And a lot of times we're moving forward faster when there's some type of accountability in place, as opposed to just being in your own silo, where you know as a business owner, it can be very lonely at the top sometimes. And then your community. This could be your professional community, an association. It could be like I offer a mastermind community for all my clients that I'm working with, so that we can have conversations beyond the fluff and have those real conversations that make a difference. It could be the community of where you live. So that's something to think about, is who is on your A team.
Well, Laura, do you have any advice for maintaining momentum through those ups and downs?
This is what I call the rule of threes. And pay attention, it makes a difference. Because before, in the beginning, I was taught about business plans, and a lot of times they're done because you think that you ought to be going through that exercise, but then they end up in the back of your virtual filing cabinet. This is a way to be very, very intentional with moving forward with your growth plan towards that vision that you create and the strategic plan that you mapped out. So what you want to do is every 3 months, you want to look at 3 things that create drag, the things that aren't very well aligned with who it is and what you do. They might be people, places, or things, any one of those. But 3 things that are really not very effective or efficient. Think about the people that might be holding you back, the people that don't respond to anything, that are a headache to work with, the people who don't believe in you and challenge while you're doing this. So those are some things to think about, or the team members even that you've held on to, but you know that they're not really very good at what they're doing, and you catch them in making mistakes and you train them, and then they go back and they make the same mistakes again. They're not really paying attention. They're just like a 9 to 5. So think about the 3 things, and every 3 months, you want to carve out time and look at these 3 things that are creating drag and ways to start eliminating them. And then the other thing you want to do with the rule of threes is look at what are the things that are very aligned and intentional with what it is that you want to achieve. And you want to be able to focus more of your energy on those 3 things. So once again, people, places, and things. Who are the people that really are believing in what you do? Maybe they are referral partners. It might be someone on your team that you can go ahead and train up. It could be that you have clients out there that bring other clients just like them to your firm, and they're fantastic clients. So people, places, maybe you are out there in the community or in a particular association or group, and that is a good place for you to be spending your time. And then things, what are the activities you're doing that are aligned with where you want to go, and really that you want to be able to start focusing more of your energy on those activities. So once again, the rule of 3 is every 3 months, you carve out time to work on your strategic plan. You go get 3 things you want to eliminate because they create drag, people, places, or things. And you also want to then start carving out more time to be able to work on the 3 things that are helping you move forward towards your vision. So once again, people, places, and things. That's the rule of 3s. So with Rihanna in the beginning, she didn't have rules of anything. She was saying yes to everything because she loves making other people happy. She came from the hospitality industry, and that was just how she was trained, was being able to take on anything that came her way. As a result of that, it wasn't really very efficient for her. She found that sometimes a client's crises would hijack her day, and she would have to make up time at the end of the day. After she put the kids to bed, she'd be running back to her computer to do some work, or she was doing catch up on the weekends, which meant that she was missing some of their sport activities. It just wasn't good for her, and it really was taking a toll on her family as well. So what we did was we put some things in place for her to be more in charge of her firm instead of her firm being in charge of her. She was focusing on the restaurant niche because she had 20 years at a corporate level in the restaurant industry. We created a silver, gold, and platinum package for this particular vertical because the silver needed certain things. Those were the mom and pop restaurants, and they just needed their financials up to date and accurate in order to follow their taxes on time. The gold were restaurants that had a larger operation, they had more staff, and they dealt with some of the seasonality problems, a lot of turnover with employee. They needed inventory management, and they needed to figure out how to budget for the ebbs and flows in cash because they were dealing with a seasonal business. And then the platinum clients were restaurant owners that had multiple locations. Sometimes they were interstate locations also, and they might have real estate holdings as well. They just had more complexities in their business, and they needed more of a comptroller or an outsourced CFO because they wanted more advisory services to be as cash efficient and also profitable as possible as they were growing their restaurant empire. So think about that for you with your clients. Not everybody gets everything. You want to have the silver, gold, and platinum. It scopes out the services of what you do for your clients. So it's very, very transparent about what services they will be receiving. And it also lets you then separate your fees from time so you can start charging 2 to 3 times more without doing any additional work. And how would that make a difference for you and your firm?
Well, Lauren, what we covered today was the #1 dream firm secret, unleashing your potential and how to 3x your business. And Lauren, you shared quite a bit, and I think that some of them can get started, but some of them might be interested in the strategic planning retreat. Do you want to talk about that again?
Well, first of all, I want to just acknowledge that you took time away from working in your business. I know that you're busy right now, and that you joined us today to work on your business, getting some of those advanced insights. And hopefully there's one thing you can immediately implement. If you felt that you got value from our time together and would really like to be intentional about what you want to focus on, being able to know when to say yes and how to be able to pass on something and still remain client-centered so that there are better boundaries. And now you have a firm that is supporting your life instead of taking from your quality of life. Then once again, please check out the virtual strategic planning retreat. It is on November 8th and 9th. We roll up our sleeves. It's very, very interactive. We get things done. You will walk away with knowing exactly what it is that your vision is and having clarity around that. We're going to then dial in the milestones so you know what to focus on throughout the year. We're going to give you your exact action steps so you know exactly what you ought to be doing immediately out of the gate. So once again, very interactive. I love being able to help firm owners with doing this so that you can have, once again, a business that elevates your life, and also that you're working with a better quality client and knowing that you are making an impact for them as well. Some of the resources that are available in the retreat is being able to prioritize what it is on your action plan so you know what to do first. Dialing in your numbers. How much do you want to bring in revenues for the next year? And what are the things that will help you do that? Starting to calculate your new rates. If you've been thinking about raising rates, not knowing what to charge or how much more, we are going to calculate that. How to give yourself a raise because you make a difference and you deserve to be able to take care of yourself and your family also. Time management and knowing what things are not effective or efficient and how to start to clear the clutter off of your plate so that you can have more time to be intentional and focusing on achieving those milestones. The things that you're going to walk away with because of the fact that you showed up and you joined this community is being able to close the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. Once again, what are the profit centers in your business, maybe that you're not even taking advantage of? Where are you leaving money on the table and how can we correct that? or you give something away for free because you don't know how to charge for that. How to be able to increase the value of a client, similar to what Christian was sharing earlier, where she had a legacy client that was $350 a month. She brought that client up to $750 a month without any pushback. How to be able to strategically do less to earn more. So you're really managing your firm very effectively. Designing your accounting firm so it supports your lifestyle, so you can have the freedom to be able to take time off or put more time into something else that has nothing to do with work. And lastly, transforming from that employee mindset where you see yourself as a technician to the CEO mindset, even if you are a single firm owner. So those are some of the things that help you to take charge of your firm. And once again, it is a $500 investment for us to be able to work closely together, for me to be able to bring you into a place where everybody is looking at what their dream firm is and being able to get inspiration from other people, some ideas, being more intentional, being able to have that clarity and how to set boundaries. And the other thing that happens is I attract a very certain type of person to me. And a lot of times you connect with someone that might become a referral partner to you because you do some things that are complementary and you see where you can both benefit from having a further conversation. So if you feel that that is something that would benefit with you, it is not a large group. It is a very small group that I work with. Then once again, go to businesssuccesssolution.com/retreat to be able to see all the details, get started, and make 2024 your best year ever. So I wanted to say thank you so much. I appreciate the time together today to be able to look at how to be able to make 2024 your best year ever. And I look forward to further conversations.